Let me have you first respond to the incident, of course. Let me have you do that first.
Well, I was thinking, listening to your show, too, listening to the Congresswoman read the First Amendment, perhaps our most prized amendment on the floor of the House this week, how what was happening yesterday in Tucson was exactly what the First Amendment was about, peaceable assembly and a right to petition the government. And that's such a fabric of our American life that we have to continue it. And of course, we want civility instead of incivility. And of course, we don't want violence. But I think in all of the talk about this, we have to be very careful about imputing the motives or the actions of a deranged individual to any particular group of Americans who have their own political beliefs. And what we know about this individual, for example, is that he was reading Karl Marx and reading Hitler and burning the American flag.
So I don't think, and certainly Senator Durbin can speak for himself, that he was attaching Sarah Palin's now famous crosshairs ad of those congresspeople that she wanted to see defeated. With this particular, for instance, I think that the general notion is that some of this rhetoric and the talk, and so much of our talk in politics does revolve around ammunition and guns and drawing a bead and, you know, that kind of thing, that sort of stuff does lead to this type of thing, not this specific thing. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm not sure, Candy. I mean, as I said, this individual, what we know about this individual is that he read Karl Marx, he read Hitler. We know he was burning the American flag. Now, that's not the profile of a typical Tea Party member, if that's the inference that's being made. I think, obviously, we're much better off in our country if we peaceably assemble, treat each other with respect, show courtesy, and condemn people who go over the line, and particularly those who do it violently, as this individual did yesterday. Of course we could. I agree that Senator McCain's comment was exactly right. We all agree with that. So I think in all of the, it's tempting to say, well, this person might have been the result of this other person's comments, but I think we need to be very, very careful.
Untying it, though, from this,
any of these actions to someone else.
Let's cut that connection then, and let me just ask you as a question separate and of itself. Is it over the line politically these days, given the kind of climate we're in, to be talking about or graphically showing a politician in the crosshairs or talking about taking them out? Was it over the line sort of specifically, since it's now being talked about everywhere, with Sarah Palin's web ads about people that she would like to see targeted for political defeat?
Well, Candy, I think you're responsible by bringing this up, of doing the very thing you're trying to condemn. I mean, you're making and implying a direct connection between Sarah Palin and what happened.
No, I specifically said we need to tie it away from that.
Picking out a particular incident. Well, I think the way to get away from it is for you not to be talking about it.
No, Senator Durbin did bring it up, so that's kind of why I am.
My own view of it.
Yeah, I guess I totally agree with you, Senator Alexander, that even by bringing it up, and I don't know if you've seen the web, but it is all over the web now. So it's not as though this is like some new idea that I've come up with suddenly standing here. And I think the question is, and I agree with you, that when you get into a discussion of what's over the line and what's not over the line in terms of rhetoric, that itself becomes something that incites people. But then how do you ever come to an agreement on what's acceptable political public conversation?
Well, you treat each other with courtesy. You know, on the floor of the Senate, we try to do that. We have pretty emotional issues to discuss, but we still treat each other with a lot of civility. Most of the incivility doesn't come from people who are elected to public office. It comes from other people. So I think, as Senator Durbin said earlier, we ought to cool it, tone it down, treat each other with great respect, respect each other's ideas, and even on difficult issues like immigration or taxes or health care law, do our best not to inflame passions.